Hello, everyone. Glad you're taking a moment to watch this week's Wednesday with the Word. And I hope that this isn't the only time that you spend today with the Word, but I hope that just these few moments would be an encouragement to you. If you've been reading through our summer reading plan that we've been doing as a church, you'll know that we're starting to get into just the portion where, honestly, this is where a lot of people start to taper off if they're trying to read through the entire Bible in a year, or even just this summer reading plan of reading through the first 5 books of the Old Testament. We just start getting into just a lot of detail. We're finishing Exodus and moving into Leviticus. And the Lord just gives a lot of specificity and specific detail into things. And sometimes we wonder, why is that there? And as I was reading through over the course of this past week, I was struck by something in Exodus chapter 39. It was a phrase that was used over and over. If you were reading through, maybe this stuck out to you too. But it was this little phrase that says just as the Lord had commanded. And it says multiple times through this instruction to the people, whether it was they were on how to build an altar or whatever they're building, it was that they were expected to do this just as the Lord had commanded. And at the very end of chapter 39 in Exodus, it says this, it says, "So the people of Israel followed all of the Lord's instructions to Moses. Then Moses inspected all of their work. And when he found it had been done, just as the Lord had commanded him, he blessed them." I don't know about you, but sometimes it just feels like obedience to God just becomes this routine thing. And sometimes it just seems like there is so much detail and so much instruction. And to be honest, I think sometimes we just want to take a shortcut. And I was just struck this week by this passage, just as the Lord commanded. And that there was this expectation of following the instructions that God had given to them on how to build these exactly how he had planned. Not for them to think, hey, this is a shortcut, I can maybe skip that step, or I can do something different. In the end, the outcome will still be the same. But the Lord expected this obedience to the very detail, to the very thing that he said, and not to take shortcuts, not to make our own path in that. And so as we think about this today, and as I think about even my own life today, and when I kind of start to get into this place of, man, I know I'm obeying God, but I'd kind of like to take a shortcut on this. To just step back and say, you know what, if I want to experience God's blessing, it comes in complete obedience. And it comes in following his plan, because that obedience is based out of trust that God's design, God's intention, God's blueprint, and God's plan for this is better than mine. And so even though it may seem mundane, even though it may seem like, well, I can kind of fudge on this or change that a little bit, that the blessing that comes in complete obedience, just as the Lord instructed. So let's live that way today. And when you're tempted to take a shortcut, when you're tempted to maybe go your own route, kind of change the plan a little bit, just remind yourself, God has a great plan intended. He has the perfect blueprint for your life and my life. And so let's live in obedience to him today, just as he intended, and we will experience his blessing. I guarantee it. Have a great Wednesday.